Hi friends, today's video is a bit more of a serious one. I had an incident happen at a protest that I went to recently. I want to tell you the story of what happened at this protest because it is an example of some of the things that are happening at protests that are wrong and they are disgusting. I think it's important to share them. The next video that was going to go out on this channel was about a wildfire that I photographed recently. And I'm still going to share that with you guys, but I wanted to expedite this video. So I went to a protest last Sunday. Now every Sunday in Salt Lake City and around Salt Lake City, protests have been happening in the streets, and they've been mostly peaceful dance-related protests. They slowly move down the street in big numbers, they play loud music, it's a generally positive atmosphere, and they generally actively avoid violence. Before I move forward, I should probably explain what these protests have been about in America, just in case you're not from America, or you live in a doomsday bunker, which is totally reasonable at this point in history. There have been tons of protests in America recently about police brutality, and they really kicked up following the death of George Floyd. The protests that happened last Sunday were about that. Now, the way that these protests work in terms of the relationship between the police officers and the protesters is the police officers generally let them march down the street. They keep their distance, they block intersections so cars don't come down the road, which I think is a solid strategy. Generally, when the police get close at all, it creates issues. Now, of course, there's tremendous debate on why these issues are created, but that's what happens. This was no different. The police were hanging back and the protesters were protesting and dancing and slowly moving around the blocks. Okay, before I move forward, I want to go back in history a little bit to a protest that I went to recently. That protest got pretty hectic. It was definitely the craziest protest I've ever been to and one of the craziest days of my life. That day I took photos of that protest. I shared those photos on Instagram. I did not censor the photos, meaning I did not blur the faces of the protesters. I explained at the end of that video why I don't blur the faces of the protesters, but I will explain it again here. I am taking photos to document history, and I will not censor history. And I'm sharing those photos because I think they are important and worth discussion. I also believe that if you do something illegal, you should be arrested for it. I believe that laws are important for a healthy society, and if we're talking about violence, if you are doing things that are violent, you may just break a window, but that's going to create a snowball effect, and you breaking a window is going to, in a sense, be part of someone looting a store or hurting somebody who is innocent. Mob mentality is very real, it is very dangerous, and I've seen it play out over these last few months in catastrophic ways with innocent people getting hurt and killed. And of course, losing their property. Laws are important for a healthy society. I think they should be fair laws, and I think they should be enforced fairly. And I completely understand that sometimes the justice system does not operate fairly. I think the Rodney King incident is a fantastic example of that. But the answer is not to burn it all down and abolish the police. I'm saying all of this because people did not like that I did not censor the faces of the protesters. That became an issue at this protest. So I'm walking around taking photos. I notice a girl on a bicycle coming up, and she speaks to a guy who she thought may have been protest security. Protests have their own security that they've designated. She thought he might be security, so she said, I couldn't quite tell what she was saying, but I had a feeling it was about me, for one, and two, I heard her say something about, something along the lines of, this photographer is a problem. What's up?
That girl's trying to get security and get kicked out of here, so watch out.
Alright, weird, what did she say?
She says you're like doxing people, so
doxing.
Dumbass doesn't like realize you have every right to take photos.
Alright. So I then think to myself, okay, this has gotten interesting. I'm going to keep my head on a swivel and just see if people are watching me and keep my situational awareness up. After a moment, one of the protest securities approaches me and shares with me that some of the protesters are concerned.
We had protesters a little bit concerned. They said you've been posting pictures of protesters protesters without blurring out faces, and some
Yeah.
people are concerned about that.
Yeah.
So we'd appreciate it if you're not taking photos today.
Okay, well, it is public property. I have a right
It
to be
is, yeah.
here.
I was just asking you. If you're
Okay.
if you're not willing to comply with that, that's okay. I'm just
Yeah.
asking you friendly.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be cordial. I appreciate everybody's right to be here and do this.
Okay.
Everybody's being peaceful. I think it's fantastic. I don't blur the faces because I'm just here to document.
Okay. And that's fine. Like I said, I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm
Yeah, I
just
appreciate
asking
that.
you. There's people that are concerned about it. So I think that it's worth thinking about how you may affect other people's lives by posting pictures of them.
Very
So,
good.
thank you.
All right. So at this point, the protest is moving. I'm following the protest. I'm not going anywhere. And everything was pretty chill. They then move into an intersection and they have a dance routine with a couple of, I believe, ballet dancers. And I grabbed a couple of photos of that, and then I broke off and called my wife, because at this point I had told her this protest is getting a little bit odd. And by odd, I mean the protesters were now taking issue with me being there, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen next. Well, what happened was pretty insane and sad and terrible and infuriating. Now, my GoPro had stayed on more than usual at this protest because of the circumstances, but at this point I just happened to turn it off because I had broken away from the protest and I was talking on the phone with my wife. I then noticed that there was a fight going on. I told my wife, I have to go, there's a fight. I immediately flipped the camera on and started moving towards the fight. Hello, Editor James here. I wanted to provide some context on what's happening here because this clip's a little hard to understand on its own. The fight just happened here. It just ended. The person who claims to be the victim in this fight tries to rejoin the protest, and people are telling him that he can't. Then they direct him towards the police. There are a couple of police cars in the distance, and they are telling the police to come get him. So he's very confused by the fact that he can't rejoin the protest, and he's also going to the police to tell the police what just happened. And then I go over and ask him what just happened. Everybody.
Let's go! Everybody just keep going! I didn't do shit. I didn't do shit. I didn't do shit.
Hey! Come get dude. Come get him. Please. Yeah. Go talk to the police.
What happened, man?
Huh?
What happened? I saw you on the ground, but I didn't see much of what happened.
He fucking Manny just started harassing me. He just fucking hit my hat. And I told him to chill the fuck off, and I like pissed off, threw his head off too, and he just went after me and started beating the shit out of me. So
Okay, why was he mad at you, do you know?
because he thought I was a cop, because I told the other guys that I told the other guys they're about to tell you to go away because you were taking photos. And I was like,
Me.
you have every right to take photos.
Oh, you the guy that spoke to me earlier?
Yes.
Oh,
yes. And because they heard that, they thought I was a cop.
Yeah, the mask. Dude, I'm sorry, man. That
Like
sucks.
I have a huge whelp right here right now.
That sucks,
You want
man.
medical to come check you out, or?
Maybe, like, there's a fucking whelp right here.
Well, it's up to you. You want medical to come down and check you, or?
Nah.
No?
Those security guys that they have are like really violent. Y'all need to like, they're guys with the walkie-talkies.
Trust me, we know.
Like they heard me telling this other security guys, that guy has every right to take photos. And because I said that, they all started harassing me and saying I was a cop.
Was the guy who attacked you, was he,
Can I sue the guy? Like, what the fuck?
was he security?
No, Manny's the guy who gets arrested like every
Oh, he
fucking
gets
week.
arrested a lot? Okay, so you think he didn't want me taking photos, and then you defended me, or what?
Wait, what?
Like,
No, okay, remember
Like,
when
why
I
did
told
he-
you?
Yeah, go ahead.
So there was this girl on a bike that comes up, it's like, hey, do you know that guy? He's probably police. I was like, I don't think so. There's like millions of photographers out here. He's like,
they
well,
thought
he's
I was police or you were police?
He said you were police. And then I was like, no, like he's just taking photos because he has a right to take photos.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna say, And right after I said that, like 2 security guards just comes up and starts like filming me. And after that, they would not stop
That was
harassing
like
me.
back there.
Yeah, back there.
All right.
I really want to support this movement, but when you have like violent people who just want to fucking fight, that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, what is wrong with this? Oh my fucking
Were you
God.
just here trying to protest with them?
Yeah, I was in the protest and they
Yeah.
fucking think I'm a cop.
Yeah, but the reason why they're mad at me is because I don't blur faces.
You don't have to.
I don't have to. Yeah, one of the security guys walked up to me. He was pretty nice about it, but
Like, can I file charges? That's insane.
Yeah, so that's what I was just gonna come tell you. So
What the fuck?
here, let me write this case number on here, and then what I'm gonna do is, because I gotta follow this for a little bit.
Like, I don't, like, this is kind of creepy, but if you could touch my head right here, I have 2 big welts.
I believe you that you got a huge weld on there.
You want to feel them? Like, I know it's creepy.
I'm good, man. I believe you. Now listen, I'm not saying I have all the details here. That's why I'm also trying to present it to you so we can both make our decisions on what happened. But I feel like I have a pretty solid understanding of what happened here. I think my camera might be a little bit crooked. That might be better, might be worse. My apologies. One of the sad things that this guy told me was that he just wanted to come be a part of the protest. And he got kicked out of that protest. We can't do this. We can't have this. We can't have protesters being kicked out of the protest because their beliefs differ. We can't have people being attacked because their beliefs differ or because they say the wrong thing. They appear to be on the wrong team. I'm telling you, if you show any sympathy for police at these protests, you become the enemy. And somehow you become a cop. I'm not sure how that works. I thought you had to do training for that. What I want to see happen at these protests is people allowed to vary in their beliefs and hundreds and hundreds of conversations happening about those variances. That's how we're gonna grow. That's how we're gonna move forward as a society. That's how we're gonna move forward in our beliefs. That's how we're going to understand somebody else's point of view and empathize with that point of view and put your own ideas against theirs and see how they hold up. This is a good thing. We want this. From what I can tell, this wasn't allowed to happen for this guy at this protest. His crime was defending journalism. So he ended up getting checked out by a medic, and afterwards we walked back to our cars together and spoke. And we had a conversation about all of this, and it was a productive conversation about how we feel about police and society. This is what I'm talking about. It was so good. I am a Christian, and I believe that I'm supposed to love people with God's love. And that is why I'm making this video. So with all that said, that's it. Please feel free to comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts and engage with them. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. Be well.